Listen up because what I'm about to tell you could save you hundreds of dollars and prevent you from being denied at the airport gate. I'm John from Dream Visa Updates, and if you're planning to travel in 2026, everything you thought you knew about air travel is about to change dramatically. Right now, it's December 2025, and in just a few weeks, something massive is happening. We're not talking about minor inconveniences or packing hacks. We're talking about fundamental changes to how you cross borders, board planes, and even pay just to stand in the security line. And here's what nobody else is telling you. The window to prepare is closing fast. For months, you've been hearing whispers. Rumors about real ID deadlines, chatter about European visas, speculation about Southwest Airlines. Well, the rumors are officially over. I've got the hard dates, the actual government filings, and the official airline policy updates right here in front of me. And I need to tell you, many of these changes kick in starting January 2026. That's literally weeks away. Picture this. You show up at the airport in February 2026 with the same ID you've been using for years, the same travel strategy that's always worked. Suddenly, you're hit with a $45 fee just to get through security. Or worse, you're denied boarding for your dream trip to London because you missed a digital deadline nobody properly explained to you. And if you're a loyal Southwest flyer who loves that open seating system, that's vanishing forever in less than a month. Today, I'm walking you through 16 critical changes that are about to hit the travel world. We're covering the new pay-to-fly rules at TSA, the exact date UK travel enforcement becomes strictly mandatory, and a hidden battery trap that could ground your mobility scooter at the gate. This isn't fear-mongering. This is reality, and this isn't just about avoiding long lines. This is about making absolutely sure you don't get turned away after you've already paid for your trip. I've spent days digging through government filings, airline policy updates, and international border regulations to bring you the facts. So grab something to take notes with, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to navigate 2026 travel without losing money or missing your flight. Let's start with the most controversial change hitting US airports right now. You know that little gold star on your driver's license? That's your real ID. The original deadline was May 2025, but let's be honest, millions of Americans still haven't upgraded, and up until now, TSA would usually just give you a warning or do a manual identity check for free. That free pass ends on February 1st, 2026. Mark that date. The TSA has officially announced that if you show up at the checkpoint without a Real ID compliant license or a valid passport, you won't just get screened anymore. You'll be charged. They're calling it the Confirm ID fee, and it's $45, non-refundable. But here's where it gets really tricky, especially if you're a snowbird heading south for the winter. That $45 fee only covers you for 10 days. Let me paint you a picture. You fly from New York to Florida on February 1st. You forgot your passport, so you pay the $45. You have an amazing 2-week vacation. Then on February 15th, when you're ready to fly home, your 10-day window has expired. You have to pay another $45 just to get back home. That's $90 completely wasted just because of an ID card. Here's your solution. If you don't have a real ID, do not rely on this fee system. It involves standing in a separate line and delays of up to 30 minutes. Just use your US passport or passport card. If you have a valid passport, you're completely exempt from this fee. Problem solved. Now let's fly across the Atlantic, because if you're planning a trip to London, Scotland, or Wales in 2026, the entry rules have gotten significantly stricter. We've been warning you about the UK's Electronic Travel Authorization, the ETA. It technically launched for US citizens back in January 2025. But during that first year, there was a soft rollout period where airlines were pretty lenient about enforcement. That grace period is over. Starting February 25th, 2026, the UK government is implementing strict no exceptions enforcement. This is a no permission, no boarding policy. If you don't have an approved ETA linked to your passport number in the airline's computer system, the software will physically block the gate agent from printing your boarding pass. It's not a suggestion. It's hard-coded into their systems. This isn't a visa you can pick up at the airport. You must apply through the UK ETA app on your smartphone several days before you fly. It costs £16, about 21 US dollars. And here's something that catches people all the time. This applies even if you're just connecting through Heathrow to go somewhere else. A simple layover could turn into a travel disaster if you're not prepared. While we're talking about the UK, get your wallet ready because starting April 1st, 2026, the UK air passenger duty, their departure tax, is increasing again. This tax gets added to every single ticket leaving a UK airport, and the increase specifically targets non-economy cabins. If you're someone who splurges on premium economy or business class for extra comfort on those long transatlantic flights, you're going to see a serious jump in ticket prices. We're talking about a tax bill exceeding $200 per person just for the privilege of extra legroom. This is exactly why you might want to consider flying home from Dublin or Paris instead, where these particular taxes work differently. Moving over to mainland Europe, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, the Entry-Exit System, EES, began its gradual rollout back in October 2025, but April 2026 marks the target date for full implementation across all European Union border points. This means the romantic era of passport stamps is officially dead. When you land in Europe now, you won't walk up to a border agent and get a nice stamp in your book. Instead, you'll go to a self-service kiosk. You'll scan your face and provide fingerprints for all 4 fingers. And listen, if you're over 70, pay close attention here. These kiosks can be finicky. The touchscreens are sometimes positioned high, and the fingerprint scanners require firm pressure to work properly. Don't let the people behind you in line make you feel rushed. Take your time, because here's what really matters. This automated system tracks your exact time in Europe down to the day. If you accidentally stay 91 days instead of the allowed 90, the computer knows instantly, and you could be flagged for an entry ban. The human discretion of a sympathetic border guard? That's gone now. It's all automated. Now, I know there's been massive confusion about ETS, the travel authorization system for Europe. There's so much bad information out there claiming you need it right now. Let me clarify this once and for all. You do not need ETS for travel in January 2026. That system is launching later in the year, most likely toward the end of 2026. But here's some genuinely good news you need to remember. When ETS does finally launch, there's actually a perk for older travelers. The standard application fee is €7, but if you're over the age of 70, that fee is completely waived. You still have to fill out the form and submit your information, but you don't pay a cent. So if you're 75 years old and you see a website trying to charge you €7, you're looking at a scam site. Close that browser immediately. One more crucial international note. If you're booking a cruise to South America or planning a trip to Rio de Janeiro for early 2026, remember that Brazil reinstated its visa requirement for U.S. citizens back in April 2025. This is still catching travelers completely off guard. It's an electronic visa, but the application requires you to upload bank statements and detailed flight itineraries. It costs about $80. If you show up for your Amazon River cruise without this visa already approved, you will not be allowed on that ship. This requirement is fully active and being strictly enforced for all January 2026 travel. Now, let's talk about an airline that millions of you love for its simplicity. Southwest Airlines. For 50 years, they've been the open seating airline. You checked in, got a boarding number, and picked any available seat you wanted. That entire system is about to disappear. Mark this date in red, January 27th, 2026. That's the day everything changes. All Southwest flights departing on or after January 27th will have assigned seating, just like every other major airline. This is a massive cultural shift for Southwest passengers. On one hand, you won't need to set an alarm to check in exactly 24 hours in advance anymore just to get a decent seat. Instead, you'll pick your seat when you purchase your ticket, exactly like you do on Delta or United. But here's the catch that's going to cost you money. They're introducing premium seating zones. The front rows and exit rows with extra legroom will now cost additional fees. If you prefer sitting near the front so you can exit the plane quickly, which I know many of you do, you'll likely have to pay a premium for that seat assignment. This change also triggers a significant new policy for what Southwest calls customers of size. Historically, if you needed 2 seats for comfort, you could purchase both seats and then request a full refund for the second one after your trip, regardless of how full the flight was. Starting with the new assigned seating model in 2026, that automatic refund disappears. The new policy clearly states that you'll only receive a refund for that extra seat if the flight doesn't sell out. If the flight is 100% full and you occupied 2 seats, you pay for both seats. No refund. This shifts the entire financial risk onto you, the passenger. And let's be realistic, most flights these days are completely packed. There's another critical change at Southwest that actually starts even earlier, on January 11th, 2026, and it affects anyone traveling with a mobility scooter. To comply with new fire safety regulations, Southwest is now enforcing a strict limit on lithium-ion batteries. Batteries for mobility devices cannot exceed 300 watt-hours. Many heavy-duty or long-range scooters have batteries significantly larger than this limit. If your battery is 400 watt-hours, it will not be allowed on the plane, period. No exceptions, no negotiations. Here's what you need to do right now. Go check your scooter's battery specifications today. The watt-hour rating is usually printed on a sticker somewhere on the battery pack. If it's over 300 watt-hours, contact the manufacturer immediately to see if they sell a smaller travel-compliant battery. Do not wait until you're standing at the gate to discover this problem. By then, it's too late. But it's not all doom and gloom. 2026 also brings some powerful new passenger rights that can actually save you money and major headaches. The Department of Transportation has finally cracked down on how airlines handle refunds. In the past, if your flight was delayed, airlines would try to give you a voucher that expired in 12 months, and they'd make the refund process as difficult as possible. Under the new federal rules, which are fully enforceable starting in 2026, if your flight is significantly changed, you're entitled to an automatic cash refund if you choose not to take the flight. What qualifies as significant? For domestic flights, any delay of 3 hours or more. For international flights, any delay of 6 hours or more. Once they hit that threshold, you have all the power. You can walk right up to the airline desk, say, "I'm canceling this trip for a refund," and they must return the money to your credit card within 7 business days. No vouchers, no negotiations, cash back. There's a special provision here that's incredibly important if you have disabilities or mobility issues. It's called the Comparable Transport Rule. Let's say the airline swaps the aircraft on you. You originally booked a large jet with an accessible lavatory, but they switch it to a smaller regional jet that doesn't have accessible facilities. Even if the flight departs exactly on time, this counts as a significant change for you specifically. You can refuse the flight and demand a full cash refund because the new aircraft doesn't meet your documented accessibility needs. This is a genuinely huge win for dignified, equitable travel. If you're looking at your passport right now and realizing it expires sometime in 2026, you might not need to make that dreaded trip to the post office. The State Department has been testing an online passport renewal system, and the goal for 2026 is to have this fully operational and available to the general public. You'll be able to take your photo with your smartphone, upload it through a secure portal, pay the fee online, and completely skip the mail-in process. However, important warning, this streamlined online system is only for standard renewals. If your passport has been expired for more than 5 years, or if you're applying for a passport for the very first time, you still have to go through the traditional in-person process. And always remember the 6-month validity rule. Many countries around the world won't allow you to enter if your passport expires within 6 months of your planned trip. Check that expiration date today, not the day before you leave. Finally, let's talk about the hidden traps. These aren't necessarily new laws, but they're operational changes and enforcement patterns that are going to catch unsuspecting travelers completely off guard in 2026. You've probably seen this all over TikTok. People stuffing hollow neck pillows with clothes and toiletries to avoid checked baggage fees. It looks clever, right? Well, the TSA is completely onto this trick now. In 2026, with the new CT scanners that create three-dimensional images of your belongings, a densely overstuffed neck pillow looks extremely suspicious on the screen. It appears as organic mass that could potentially be concealing prohibited items. We're seeing increasing reports of TSA agents pulling these pillows aside and requiring passengers to completely empty them out at the checkpoint. If you've stuffed your travel pillow with socks and underwear, be prepared to have your laundry displayed publicly in front of everyone in the security line. It slows down your screening process significantly, and it genuinely annoys the agents, which is never a good idea. Here's a medical tip that could literally save your life or your medication. TSA rules say no liquids over 3.4 ounces in your carry-on. But there's a medical exemption for ice packs used to keep medications cool, things like insulin or certain biologics. Here's the critical detail most people don't know. The ice pack usually needs to be frozen completely solid when you go through security. If it's melted and slushy, TSA considers it a liquid, and they can confiscate it. However, the rules have recently been clarified to allow partially melted packs if they're medically necessary. But here's the thing. You have to actively advocate for yourself. Don't just toss it in your bag and hope for the best. Tell the TSA officer immediately and clearly, "This is a medically necessary cooling pack for my prescription medication." Pull it out of your bag and declare it up front. This simple communication can prevent your essential medication from becoming unsafe to use. Here's a psychological manipulation tactic that airports are increasingly using in 2026, and I need you to be aware of it. Have you noticed that after you clear security, you're often forced to walk through a long, winding, duty-free shopping area before you can even see where your gate is? They call this the golden walk in the airport industry. They know that once you successfully get through security, your body experiences an adrenaline drop and a dopamine spike. You feel relieved, accomplished. That emotional state makes you significantly more likely to impulse buy things you don't actually need. For older travelers especially, these mandatory retail walks are physically exhausting. They add hundreds of extra steps to your journey and are often deliberately confusing to navigate. Here's your insider tip. Look down at the floor. Very often there's a tiled pathway that's slightly different from the carpeted retail area, almost like a bypass lane, or look for elevators immediately after the security checkpoint. These elevators frequently bypass the entire retail mezzanine level and drop you directly onto the main concourse near the gates, saving your energy and protecting your wallet. And here's one last quick tip for your in-flight health that most people have no idea about. Did you know that at 35,000 feet, your ability to taste salt and sugar drops by about 30%? It's scientifically proven. The low cabin pressure and extremely dry air literally numb your taste buds. Airlines know this fact very well, so they deliberately load their in-flight meals with extra sodium to make the food taste reasonably normal to passengers. If you're watching your salt intake because of blood pressure concerns or other health issues, airline food is a hidden danger you need to be aware of. That seemingly healthy chicken dish might contain double the sodium of the exact same meal served in a restaurant on the ground. The solution? Bring your own food whenever possible. Or here's something that sounds strange but actually works. Wear noise-canceling headphones during your meal. Scientific studies have shown that blocking out the constant white noise of the jet engines actually helps restore some of your natural sense of taste, which means you won't feel the need to add that extra packet of salt to your food. Travel in 2026 isn't necessarily harder, but it is absolutely stricter. The days of charming your way onto a flight or getting a free pass when you forgot your proper ID are completely over. Here's your comprehensive Don't Get Denied checklist for January and beyond. First, check your ID immediately. If your driver's license doesn't have that gold star in the corner, get your passport ready to carry every single time you fly, or you'll be paying that $45 fee. Second, download the necessary apps right now. You need your Airlines app for the new assigned seating systems. And if you're going to the UK, you need the UK ETA app for London trips. Third, if you use a mobility scooter, measure your battery specifications before you even think about going to the airport. Check those watt-hour ratings today. Fourth, memorize your refund rights. 3 hours of delay on domestic flights equals automatic cashback if you choose not to fly. I want you to keep traveling. I want you to see the incredible world we live in. But I want you to do it with your eyes wide open and your plans properly prepared. Don't let a dead battery or a missing barcode be the reason you miss the vacation you've been dreaming about. If you found this guide genuinely helpful and informative, hit that subscribe button right now. I'm John from Dream Visa Updates, and I'll be tracking every single one of these rollouts week by week, bringing you the latest updates as policies change. Stay safe out there, travel smart, and I'll see you at the gate.